How's it going, folks? And welcome back to another episode of our venture in the visual novel Adventure of a Lifetime. Last episode, we made our decision to let Chisa and Hiroki take a stroll together just to make up for time lost. And we got a little backstory of coming to find out that Chisa didn't really go to the festival, making the side little comment that she didn't go because you don't have a buddy, which actually makes a lot of sense because in a lot of those settings as that, it actually helps to have someone with you. Even at anime conventions, they can tend to be kind of boring and lonely without someone to hang out with. I experienced that myself when I went to my first anime convention. So yeah, it's definitely good to have other people with you to hang out with in that regard. And at the end of the last episode, there was a shift change. So now Hiroki and Chisa are handling the stall. Meanwhile, Ryota... No. Ryota was actually dismissed from the grill, so he's going to probably hang out on his own. We don't know for sure yet if he's going to hang out with Emily. But Emily and Chisa... No, not Chisa. Emily and Chinami, for an actual fact, are going to hang out with each other. Because apparently Chinami is a fan of Emily. So that's how that is turning out so far. So with that, we're going to load up that last scene and let's see how things turn out with those shift changes. Yes, indeed. We're going to load that up and here we go. No need to work it so hard. There's hardly anything left to sell. With the fireworks going, most of the festival grounds were empty. Even so, Chisa called out to the few customers around. It was then that I began to suspect that she was avoiding me. Hey, Chisa. What did you say earlier? Huh? Something about being left behind. Chisa laughed as she tried to avoid the topic. Coming up. Though we'd been close enough to hold hands earlier, I suddenly felt a gaping distance between Chisa and I. Emily and I were out diving deeper than usual. Even in waters this clear, the sun's rays couldn't reach far enough to light up the rusted ship lying ominously on the ocean floor. Following a sign from the instructor, we swam around the ship. We were in the middle of a wreck diving course. Wrecking was a little bit different from your average dive. There were special skills and procedures for getting close to or inside shipwrecks that we needed to learn. This was all part of our preparation for exploring the ghost ship, and it would take us about 2 days to finish the course. But today was our last day. The instructor put up the signal that it was time to head back to the boat. Emily and I gave the okay signal and began our ascent. Chisa! Emily, her head bobbing above the surface of the water, waved over to Chisa, who was waiting in the boat. If swimming with a school of tuna doesn't fix her fear of the sea, maybe the sunken ship will. She's got a point there.
さっさと帰ってクーラー効いた部屋でお昼寝したいわ。
Take off that dadgum jacket you got on there that's got long sleeves. You in your swimsuit. Splash some water on you or something. Don't just bake out there.
Neえ、ヒロ君、あの子どうしちゃったの?
Beats me. Chisa had come with us just as a chaperone. Her family's shop was running the course, so she was required to be there. But I think she was bored staying on the ship. Look who it is. Phin followed alongside the cruiser, desperate for some attention from Chisa. But she made no move to dive into the water.
暑いならあなたも泳げばいいじゃない。気持ちいいわよ。
そんな気分じゃない。
I bet you he's gonna splash her. With a flick of his tail, Phin sent a shower of water onto the deck and over Chisa. Called it!
ありがとう。ちょっと涼しくなった。
いつもなら怒って海に飛び込んでショウアルイルカを追い回すのに。
She didn't even flinch.
ねえ、盆踊りの日に何かあったでしょう、あなたたち。
Emily is catching on. She's catching on. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go that far. The only vaguely significant thing I could think of was when we held hands for the first time in years. Nothing else had happened. The atmosphere made it seem like something could have happened.
それか、あれかしら。テレビ出演の話、まだ怒ってる?
I guess so. Chisa had got into an argument with Ryota over her going on TV.
やだって言ってるでしょ。
そこをなんとかちょっとだけでいいからさ。
Ryota put his hands together and bowed his head.
こないだもそう言ってがっつり出演させられたわ。おかげでおちおち散歩もできやしない。もう金輪際出演はお断りだからね。
一体どうしたの?
Well, in that regard, I can understand, and apparently even she has her limits on what favors she's willing to fulfill, which is absolutely understandable.
イルカ少女にまたテレビ出演のオファーがあったのです。しかしグアネはそれを拒否。リョータがああして必死に説得しているという状況です。
島のいい PR になるんだからさ。お前だってその方がいいだろ。店も繁盛するんだし。
There was no denying more people had been coming to the diving shop since Chisa made her TV debut. Her dad was so happy, he even put up a poster of his famous daughter. Though the way Chisa stared at it, I was surprised it hadn't burst into flames yet.
こんな恥ずかしい思いするのもう二度とやだ。それに九太郎も見せ物じゃない。
チサ、どこ行くんだよ。
リョータの泣き落としが通じないとはグアネ相当な覚悟だな。
Chisa. Ever since then, she hadn't been in the best of moods. Emily climbed into the boat and removed her diving
テ
cylinder.
レビくらい出てあげればいいのに。あなたのおかげで観光客が増えたんでしょ。
じゃあ自分が出れば。エミリーの方が美人なんだからきっと喜ばれるわよ。
そうかしら。出ていいなら出るけど、問題はショウアルイルカが私の言うことを聞くかどうかよね。
Emily called out to Phin to demonstrate her point.
おいで、九太郎。撫でてあげるわよ。無視された。やっぱり性格歪んでるわ、あのイルカ。
Is it the fame that bothers you, Chisa? All the people coming up to you in the street and stuff.
そんなんじゃありません。
I was hoping she'd say more. Are you mad at me then?
別に。
Not really. What does that mean? She turned away. She'd been this way since the Bond Festival. I definitely did something wrong. Or maybe she was angry about something I should have done, but didn't. Poor Phin. Phin called out affectionately to Chisa.
九太郎も仲間のところへ帰りなさい。
Reluctantly, the dolphin swam off toward the open water. Emily and I both let out heavy sighs. We weren't getting anywhere at this rate.
私ね、今日の講習でがぜん自信がついたわ。今すぐ幽霊船に潜って指輪を取ってこられそうな気がするの。
Emily was still excited from the experience she had gained during her wreck diving course. Chisa completely ignored the excited Emily and only seemed to get even more lethargic.
そんなに甘くないんだからね。事故があれば命に関わるんだから。
知ってるわ。座学で習ったもの。
Aside from open water instruction, there was also a classroom portion of the course. After a bit more practice, we can finally get to planning our trip. I opened up a pamphlet and set it down on the table. Before it sank, the ghost ship had been a commercial yacht. And we were lucky enough to get some of the old pamphlets used for advertising, complete with a layout of the ship. Do you know which cabin was used by your parents?
ここよ。
Emily pointed to a room on the
この
map.
部屋を使っていたってパパが言ってた。だから指輪もここにあるはず。
Great. That's just the news we needed. We were planning to explore the ship over a number of diving sessions. We'd already gotten close to the wreck as part of Emily's ongoing training. During those dives, I used my underwater camera to take pictures of the exterior of the ship. With the photos and pamphlet, we had a pretty solid idea of what to expect. I'm thinking we should use this route. What do you think, Chisa?
は
Chisa?
あ。ああ、ごめん。聞いてなかった。
She's really disturbed by something.
ちょっとしっかりしてよ。事故があると危ないって言ったのあなたよ。
Hey, that's my word. What's going on with you, Chisa? If I've done something wrong, could you at least tell me?
違う。そんなんじゃない。
じゃあ何なのよ。
九太郎のことでちょっとね。
Well, you haven't really been swimming with him recently. In fact, she hadn't been swimming at all for the last few days. Even when Emily and I went diving, Chisa would stay in the canoe, looking bored.
あのイルカと喧嘩でもしたの？
九太郎がはぐれイルカだってのは前に話したわよね。
ええ、いじめられて群れにいられなくなったって。
今ね、あの子どこかの群れで一緒に泳いでるらしいのよ。
Aha.
それが元の群れなのかは知らないけど、帰ろうとしてるんだと思う。イルカの社会に。
Understandable.
それであなた落ち込んでるの？
いいことだよ。でもあの子、私が呼ぶと来ちゃうから。
If Phin could hear Chisa in the water, he would always come to her, no matter where he was. Maybe that was the problem. Perhaps she felt like she was holding him back. So you've been trying to put some distance between the two of you?
イルカはイルカ同士で仲良くした方が幸せでしょ。
Well,
そんなことないと思うわ。
Emily flat out rejected the idea.
そんなの本人次第よ。チサといる方が幸せってこともあるかもしれないじゃない。実際私にはそう見えるわよ。それにあの子イルカの中でもとびきり賢いわ。自分のことはちゃんと自分で決められると思う。
お嬢ちゃんたち、いつまでくっちゃべってんだい。 そろそろ店開けるよ。
We wrapped up our meeting and started preparations to open the cafe.
ありがとうございました。おしまいね。
Emily said as our last customer headed home. Good work today.
お疲れ様。
後片付けしたら今日はもう上がっていいよ。
はーい。
Chisa sat down on an empty chair, her expression exhausted. You okay?
平気。ありがと
You don't look fine.
う。なんか最近いろいろありすぎでしょ。エミリーが来てから特に毎日騒がしくって。普段はのんびりした島なのにさ。
She tried to make it sound like a joke, but it was obvious she was hiding something. You know, you can tell me if there's anything bothering you. I'll do whatever I can to help.
そうよ、チサ。私たち友達じゃない。
実は私エミリーのことちょっと苦手で。冗談よ。涙目にならないで。
Even for a joke, that was pretty harsh.
ごめんエミリー。ちょっと余裕なくて。
いいわ。許してあげる。その代わり白状なさい。何に悩んでるのか。
Emily looked at Chisa with tears still in her eyes. Faced with such an onslaught of honest emotion, even Chisa was at a loss for words for a moment.
九太郎とね、ちゃんとお別れしようと思ってるの。
お別れ？
でさ、ちょっと力を貸してくれない？私一人じゃ途中でくじけちゃいそうだからさ。
Emily and I looked at one another and, without saying a word, knew that we would help Chisa. The next day, the three of us took the outrigger canoe out to empty, open water. The sea looked just as calm and peaceful as ever. Every now and then, the calm was broken by a dolphin and a tanned girl leaping out of the water together. Thrown upwards by Phin, Chisa soared into the air before plunging back down while Emily and I just watched from the boat.
あれってチサが教えた芸なのかしら。
No, I think it's just something that happened while they were playing around. Did you want to give it a try?
いい。怖そうだもん。
Today was the first time Chisa had played with Phin in several days. From where we sat, it looked like they were playing a game of underwater tag. Chisa tried to get away while Phin chased after her. Even with the best swimmer in the world, even the best swimmer in the world could not outswim a dolphin. But every time Phin got too close, Chisa managed to dodge around him and keep going. They continued to swim circles around one another in the water.
まるで水中でダンスしてるみたい。
They twirled around one another like perfect partners on an aquatic stage. And we had the best seats in the house.
こっちだよ、九太郎。
This time, Chisa grabbed onto Finn's dorsal fin, and the two of them swam together. After building up some speed, they sprang into another spectacular jump. It looked like they could happily swim together through these crystal clear waters until the end of time.
やっぱりこうしてる方がチサらしいわね。
Sure is. The dolphin and the playful girl. Physically very different, but their friendship was as genuine as anything. The scene played out like a fantastic dream. I can understand why people would want to record it for TV. It would surely move anyone who watched. felt honored that Emily and I were being allowed to watch.
それにしてもチサはよく息が続くわね。私止まっててもあんなに息を止めていられないわ。
Chisa's special. She's been swimming like that ever since she was little. Even when we were little, she'd jump into the water at the drop of a hat.
だからって超人的すぎるわ。
I wouldn't be surprised. I murmured as I glanced down at the water. Human beings have to breathe with their lungs. Lungs extract oxygen from the air and send it to the bloodstream. But there's another organ that acts like a reserve tank. That is the spleen. According to recent studies, the spleen stores oxygenated blood, which can then release in case of emergencies. Most people don't use it that much, so it can even be removed without much impact on a person's everyday life. But for athletes like synchronized swimmers, this organ is used when performing physically demanding underwater stunts. These athletes go through intense training from a young age. Chisa's time underwater over the years had a similar effect on her. As a result, watching Chisa swim was like seeing someone from another world. It was no wonder Emily was surprised.
それってとんでもない才能よね。うまく活かせばすごいスポーツ選手になれるかも。
Probably. She just swims for fun, though. If she felt like she was being forced into it, she'd probably get bored of it in no time.
好きこそものの上手なれってことか。
While we were talking, Chisa had only popped up for air once while still playing around with Phin the whole time. There was no indication that this intense workout might be tiring her out. She seemed much happier in the water than she ever did on land.
九太郎これできる？
And we're gonna see what she wants him to do on the next episode. The cliffhangers. Well, with that, I want to thank everyone for watching this video this time around. If you liked what you saw, maybe consider leaving a like. And if you'd like to see more, if you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing. And until next time, happy mixing, everyone.